Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Erin Creighton, and I am the Adult Services Department Head and Assistant Branch Manager for the Fredericksburg Library. I am thrilled today to be joined by Theresa Cramer from the Fredericksburg Area Museum. And Theresa is here to talk to us today about learning from FAM. So thank you, Theresa.
Thank you, Erin. Hi, everyone. My name is Theresa Cramer, and I'm the Education and Public Programs Manager at the FAM. I'm a museum educator that's been in the field for over 10 years, and I've worked at historic sites, zoos, art museums, and history museums. And today I'm going to be talking about museum education, my work at the FAM, and our school and public programs. So we're going to go to our next slide. So just a little information about the FAM. So we are located right in downtown Fredericksburg in historic town hall. The building was constructed between 1814 and 1816 and served as city hall and the market house originally. It is now the House of FAM, and our mission is to build community and create experiences by preserving and sharing all of our stories. So we're very much a community-based museum. If you haven't visited the FAM, I highly recommend it. We are actually free to visit on your own. So if you wanted to do a self-guided visit, that's a fully free experience. You're able to see all of our exhibitions going on, and it always is changing, which is always amazing for our community too. My job is not the exhibition spaces, but my job is to create those special public programs and school events that go along with our exhibits and collections. We have over 3,000 artifacts here at the FAM, and some of those span from portraits, historic photographs, Civil War arms, as well as dinosaur footprints too. So I'm here to connect our community to those stories. So we're going to go to the next slide. So just before we get into what the FAM offers, I think it's important to know what it actually is museum education. So museum education is the process of teaching and learning in a museum. And I always like to define what a museum can be. It can include historic sites, national parks, art galleries, history exhibits, science centers, children museums, zoos, botanical gardens, and aquariums. So oftentimes you're learning in these places, and the person that you're mostly going to interact with if you're in a museum program is a museum educator. They're the ones that develop the programs and experience and interactive exhibits sometimes that teach visitors. So that's the one thing, is that I develop all the tours and all the programs. So that's my job at the FAM, is as museum educator. And we do experiences for all types of experiences from preschool to adults. So what makes museum learning different than a classroom? Classroom learning is going to be very formal, and it's teacher-led and follows a curriculum. Myself, as a museum educator, I'm going to be developing informal experiences. Museums are also free choice learning places. Free choice learnings means that you're able to choose what you learn. So when you visit a museum, we're not telling you what to read. We're giving you options in your experience. So that's something that it's a free choice. You're able to spend as much time as you want, or you're able to do projects that are based on your interest. It's also a hands-on experience. Hands-on experiences that I develop are often, so example of STEM activities for families. I present with tactile reproduction artifacts. So instead of just looking at an artifact in a case, I'm able to show students by touching. So we have those types of hands-on experience. Another thing is that it's object-based. So that means that instead of learning from a book, so instead of reading about history, we're looking at the materials that are from history. So it includes primary sources, so photographs, newspapers. It can also include artifacts that are like objects, so clothing. It can include souvenirs, plates. So we're able to look at that material culture from the past and learn from those objects, which often in classroom learning, we're not using objects specifically. We're using more textbooks or other ways of learning. Another thing about museum learning is it's lifelong. So that's the one thing, is you do not need to be in a school. You don't need to be school age to enjoy a museum. We work with all different ages, and we want to make sure that we're a learning resource for everyone in our community. So that's something that I strive as a museum educator, is to not have it be your fourth grade visit the only time you visit FAM. You should be coming to FAM, or if it's the option of coming to FAM, that's for everyone in all different ages and all different points of their life. So we're going to go to our next slide. So what kind of educational programs do we provide at the FAM? We provide, so this is how I kind of separate it. We provide school and youth programming. So school and youth programs are going to be our field trips. They're going to be workshops. So these are, the audiences are preschool that we work with. We work with K-12 educators and students. We work with summer camps and scouts, as well as college partners as well. And one thing that is also included in that K-12 and preschool is homeschool groups. So we work with private schools, we work with public schools, we also work with homeschool groups as well. So that's kind of how we have our traditional, what you think about a field trip or a workshop. The other arm of my job is public programs. So public programs is going to include family audiences as well as adult audiences. And those are the programs that you probably see on FAM social media and website pages. So those are the events that we're advertising for the public, whereas school and youth programs are primarily scheduled by a organization for a private presentation. So we're going to go to our next slide. So I'm going to start off with sharing some of our exciting programs. The first one is preschool programs. So we have a really robust preschool field trip program. Our museum a couple years ago received in our collection a set of dinosaur footprints from the Cretaceous period. So these are all footprints from the Fredericksburg region. So we decided to develop a dinosaur program for preschoolers as a way to connect with history. So this is our first touch point as our experience at FAM. So we provide a lot of hands-on activities that students can engage with the content. So some of these hands-on activities include moving like dinosaurs. So we have them looking at photos of dinosaurs that lived in Fredericksburg, and we have the students move around like a dinosaur with 2 feet, 4 feet, or even dinosaurs that fly. On the photos, you can see one of my favorite activities that is very special is those students using that 3D printed dinosaur track. We actually printed those at the Idea Space at the library. We printed those 3D prints of the dinosaur footprints to be used in that program. And we have students creating a footprint with model magic that they're able to take that home as a souvenir. We also, with the footprint, we have dinosaur skeletons that they can use to create trackways. So they could make a big footprint or a trackway showing the movement of their dinosaur. We also have excavation sensory bins where students are able to dig for dinosaur skeletons. Now, we don't have dinosaur skeletons in the Fredericksburg region, but this allows students to connect to the work of paleontologists. And then lastly, we also incorporate story time with our younger 3-year-olds too. So we include stories and songs. So it's a way of connecting with preschoolers and inviting them into the museum. We have a great relationship with a lot of local preschools, and we are continuing that. Our display of dinosaurs is not available right now. We sunsetted that last year, but this program is still active. So we're still able to do programs even if there's not an exhibit specifically. So we're able to have that with a program. We're going to go for our next slide. The biggest audience of our programming is elementary and high school. So the one thing is that the FAM provides programs that are related to the Virginia SOL. So all of our elementary to high school programs follow the curriculum that students learn in the classroom. We also provide field trips at FAM. So we can have you come and visit FAM. We can have schools visit. We also have virtual programs that we offer that you can connect to FAM remotely. We also go into the classroom. So we'll have a FAM educator travel to the classroom with reproduction artifacts to present in the classroom. That saves money on bus time. And that's one of our most popular versions of our field trips, is because we're able to work with whole grade levels in a shorter period of time. And they're able to have a presentation without traveling. So we also offer free programs to all Fredericksburg City schools. So that's one thing, is that if you're a Fredericksburg City public school, we do offer free programming to those teachers. Some of our programs includes elementary programs to high school programs. It's varied. So on the left, you can see is a tour from King George High School students. They're walking the steps of an enslaved man named John M. Washington, who self-emancipated himself during the Civil War. So the students are taking to the streets to walk John M. Washington's steps and to learn more about his story, as well as enslaved people in Fredericksburg during the Civil War. On the right, we have a virtual field trip where FAM is connecting with a school about local indigenous history in Fredericksburg, in the Fredericksburg region. So we have reproduction artifacts graciously made by the Potomac Indians of Virginia, and we share those artifacts to talk about their way of life in the past, as well as looking at primary sources as well. So these are just some of the options. We offer other types of field trips, but we're always traveling in the community, and we can do it at FAM, virtually, or in the classroom. So we're going to go to our next slide. One thing is we also do school partnerships. So this is not a one and done field trip. This is usually a couple weeks long. We have a lot of different school partnerships, but I wanted to highlight one that you can see in the museum. So if you go to the third floor of FAM, we have an exhibit on the Marquis de Lafayette and his visit 200 years ago. In that exhibit, we have letters that are written by fifth graders from Hugh Mercer Elementary School and Lafayette Elementary School. The FAM came into the classroom, and we taught them about the story of James Armistead Lafayette and the Marquis de Lafayette. So James Armistead Lafayette was an enslaved man who served as a spy during the American Revolution, and he was not granted his freedom after the war, when enslaved soldiers were granted their freedom by the Virginia Assembly. So James Armistead Lafayette petitioned the Virginia Assembly for his freedom, and he received a statement of support from the Marquis de Lafayette. So we told the students about this history, and with the prompt, why do you think James Armistead should be free? Why James Armistead Lafayette should be free? The students wrote persuasive essays. So these persuasive essays are currently on display at the Lafayette exhibit on FAM's third floor. So this is something is working with teachers to create projects and doing cross-curricular projects as well. So cross-curricular means that we aren't just presenting history or social studies lessons, but we're also incorporating language arts in this project. So that's the one thing, is we love working with local schools on projects as well as on educational projects. We're going to go to our next slide. So now we're in the public program sphere. So this is something that I'm really excited, is having family programming at the museum. Family programs are very different than youth programming, because it's making sure that adults and children are learning together. So we want family groups to learn and collaborate and discuss whatever we are teaching. So this is something that we show, is we connect a lot of our local history to family projects and activities. So you can see here is in the photo, we have someone making a craft inspired by a gaming cat that's in FAM's collection. So FAM has a collection of 1920s gaming cats from Pleasure Island. It was a carnival underneath the Chatham Bridge. And we have we have families creating their own gaming cat, their own stuffed gaming cat inspired by the historical artifact. So this is a type of craft activity that we are teaching students about the past, but they're also being able to participate. Next slide. Another one is doing STEM activities for families. So I love incorporating STEM and science and challenges to family projects. This is inspired by steamboats that are on the Rappahannock River. So we used to have steamboats that went to Fredericksburg to Baltimore. So I gave the challenge to families to create their own boat using recycled materials, and they had to balance as many pennies as they could on their boat. So this STEM challenge is a way of showing, again, that cross-curricular, using blending science and history together. And again, this is something that we have families cooperating. So this is adults learning with children as well. So that's something that we inspire for our family programs. We do not want it just to be a youth-centered experience, but we want it to be a family-centered experience. We're going to go to our next slide. So other programs. So we do have a lot of family programs, but I did want to promote some of our upcoming programs. And I realized that the recording is going to be published after this program, but this is a series that we're going to have throughout the year. It's called What Remains. So one thing is, with our adult public programs, we want our community to come after hours and learn something new. This is specifically a collections-based program. On March 27th, our collections coordinator, Kylie Thompson, who helps and takes care of all of our artifacts here at FAM. She's going to be pulling special artifacts from the collection and telling stories about women's history. This is a series we're doing throughout the year, but this is an example of public programs that we do after hours. So it's very much trying to connect our audience and our community to our collections and the stories in our exhibits. Other types of public programs can be lectures, workshops, and performances. So we're going to go to the next slide because it's another performance. So one thing that I work on as all the public programs is exciting programs that really catch the interest of people. So last fall, we had a program called Drag Me to the Museum, where we collaborated with Shannon Doa, who is a drag performer in Fredericksburg and a UMW historic preservation student. So we had a show in October about ghost stories in Fredericksburg. So this is a way to engage all different types of audiences. We had UMW students who are over 18 to 22, and we had people in their 70s. So we had a wide variety of audiences coming to this show, and it's a way to connect history and what's in the museum in a fun, engaging manner in a performance. This is an 18+ event. We will be having another Drag Me to the Museum on April 24th. So we're really excited to not only provide lectures and scholarly programs, but we also like to provide performances. And so again, that variety of ways to engage with the FAM and learn history, we want to serve our community and provide as many different experiences as possible. So my job is looking at how we can connect with our community and teach everyone about our community stories, from students to adults.
Wow, Theresa, thank you so much for that fantastic presentation. When you mentioned having over 3,000 artifacts in the museum, I know it's such a crazy question to ask you, but what's your favorite, or what's the most interesting thing that is the most intriguing thing to you that's there? Because the dinosaur footprints to me are very, very cool, but you guys have some really cool stuff in general, so it's kind of a hard question.
It's very hard because sometimes you really like an object because it's your personal interest. I really like when it's an object that can connect with a lot of different people, or it's like, oh, I didn't know that story. The Pleasure Island collection with the gaming cats is really exciting because it excites adults and kids because they didn't realize, oh, there was a carnival island on the Rappahannock River. So that's something that's really exciting. And we're able to do a lot of hands-on activities. That was one of the first family programs I did when I came to the museum. And I've just kind of improved the program over the years to, it used to be paper gaming cats, and now we have a stuffed gaming cat that people can take home. So it's really exciting to see how we can create different types of programs and how it excites adults and kids.
Oh, definitely. And honestly, the Lafayette exhibit that's been up for a little bit now, but it's an amazing exhibit. And if you're interested in, the revolutionary times or Lafayette and his legacy, and the it's just a wonderful exhibit. And the letters on you said they were on the third floor. I saw the exhibit when it opened last year, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, we really like featuring community voices, and I'm really grateful for our curatorial team and specifically the curator of that exhibit, Dr. Gayla Sims. She really wanted to feature student voices, and she's like, "Hey, I'd like to have a project with where students are there." And so I was trying to think about how to feature students' voices, and we had a lot of content about James Armistead Lafayette, but we didn't have anything in his own words. So I thought it was really important to have letters in James Armistead Lafayette's point of view. So I came up with this letter writing project to work with the fifth grade students. So it's a way of giving his voice as well in the galleries.
That's fantastic. And what a wonderful way to connect to people of all ages. And if you haven't visited the FAM in a while, please go check it out. Their address and their website is right here posted on the screen. And if you are an educator watching this, especially in our area, please contact Theresa. It's just wonderful working with you. And so I know the students and the teachers must love it as well. Thank you again for being here today.
Thank you.